See, we're here to talk about Blodwen's in town.
Yay!
And you are in town. You're in Cardiff at the moment, aren't you?
Well, I'll be in Cardiff tomorrow. I was.
Oh, you're in Cardiff tomorrow, right? Okay.
uh,
You recently brought the show to Wales Millennium Centre. How did that go?
it was really good. I can't even believe how good it was. When something goes, you dream about what something's going to be like, and
Mm,
it was just amazing. Everything about the day, never mind the show, everyone at the WMC was amazing. I had such a lovely time. And then it was just so nice to perform there. And I had such a nice crowd. And it's so cool to do it in Wales.
yeah, yeah. Because of course, you are Welsh. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So, well, I was born in Cardiff.
Right.
But I moved to Pembrokeshire when I was quite young because I think we sort of followed my grandparents because they retired there, and I always had an interest in singing and stuff. Like when I was in primary school, I'd always be in the school assemblies and that kind of thing, and I sort of fell out of it a bit towards the end of secondary school, and I did languages at uni, but I think it's inside you. It's inside you, And I joined an amateur dramatic society in Haverfordwest, and I played a couple of things in a few musicals that they had there. And then once I got back into it, I was like, I just can't let this go now. So when I moved to London after I finished uni, and have been just sort of finding ways to do it ever since. I started having singing lessons, went to a couple of did a few acting courses, and found someone who introduced me to the world of cabaret.
Mm.
And, as they say, the rest is history.
How did Blodwen come about?
She was sort of born a very long time ago when I first started. The first time I ever did a cabaret workshop, but I kind of didn't realize that that's what I'd done. And because we did a performance, and I did a performance kind of as myself, but very much a sort of hyped up version of myself. And then the more I did one-woman shows and the more I put different things on, the more I felt a bit uncomfortable performing as Emily. And it's a very subtle change, it's like a name change and a just sort of mindset change, and it makes it much easier for me to be on stage. So it was before the pandemic, because Blodwen's in Town was kind of born the year before the pandemic, and I was thinking about maybe taking it to Edinburgh, but then it sort of got put on hold for a couple of years. But that's when I sort of named her and said, okay, this is the character that's going on stage now. It's not Emily anymore, it's Blodwen.
Did you sort of take any sort of inspiration from anybody else for Blodwen?
I don't know if I did this on purpose, but the more I do with her, and sometimes I'll do workshops and I'll kind of workshop bits of things that I want to put in my show with people, and stuff comes out, it's just kind of like, oh, let's see what she's going to say, if you ask her about whatever it is. And sometimes I watch things back and I think she reminds me a little bit of Bryn from Gavin and Stacey, because it's sort of, because she's quite she's not stupid, but no. she's very enthusiastic about everything, and because the show is about when I first moved to London and what a shock to the system that was from living in Hampshire. There's a lot of kind of, all the moments I remember, I go, oh my God, this is amazing. I just can't believe that you can go on a bus, and you can go on a train, and you can go on a tube, and you can go on a tram, in one city. All of these sort of, options become available to you. And so she's sort of, sometimes she's probably pleased and surprised and excited by things that the average person maybe wouldn't be.
She's described in the tagline as a love child of Tom Jones and Victoria Wood.
Somebody, a PR lady who came to the show in its very early days said that, and I thought I was very flattered. It's a story told through sort of anecdotes and lots of songs, so there's it's very, very musical, but there's also, what I really enjoy, and what I think what people really enjoy, is her and her relationship with the audience. That's kind of my favorite thing about a show is, yes, I've got this story to tell, but who am I telling it to, and how are they enjoying it?
Can you tell me a little bit about the show and what people would expect here? Because you are going to be bringing this around some of the venues in Wales soon, aren't you?
Yeah, so my next one is Blackwood Miners Institute in Caerphilly, which I'm very excited about. And it's a bit of a coming of age story, I suppose, and a sort of it basically tells a story of Blodwen having a compulsion to kind of see beyond the realms of the village that she comes from, goes and does it, she sort of embraces everything that gets thrown at her. It's not always easy, you know, but she's very much got the outlook of try and make the best of everything. And it's about kind of finding a home away from home, but just always that sort of there's always something that pulls you back, you know, because
Yeah.
you know, do you speak Welsh? You know the word hiraeth, it doesn't really have a translation, but there's that sort of there's just always a piece of you that kind of belongs somewhere else, isn't it? It doesn't matter how settled down you get wherever you go, and that's how I feel, you know, because I feel very Welsh, and I feel very aligned with like connected to my homeland, if you like, you know, but I don't live here anymore. It's almost like when you go away, somehow I felt like my identity got stronger, you know, because all of a sudden I was the Welsh one.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when you're at home and everyone's the Welsh one, so it's not so special somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose really having Blodwen in your life now as well, you probably feel like there's two of you being Welsh within the
Yeah,
context of yourself. So that's probably heightened it even more for you, has it?
yeah, and it's really interesting, sort of exploring it, like exploring that, you know, which I didn't know what this show was going to turn into when I started working on it, and it started out as one act, which I took to the Edinburgh Fringe, and then I kind of wrote a sequel, which is now wrapped into this, and that's how I've ended up with a 2-act show. So the last year I did Blodwen's in Paris, which is kind of part 2. The whole thing is a 2-act show, which is kind of an amalgamation of both of them. And when I started both of those projects, I didn't know, they sort of they tell me themselves, you know, or you kind of figure out, yes, this feels right, or that feels right. And a lot of it is about identity, you know, and kind of the because it's the same, because I lived in France for a while, and I lived in Spain actually, like as part of my degree. And again, there's that thing where you just feel this sense of what brings you comfort when you're far away from home is things that remind you of home. And so it's just really interesting, sort of realize, like, just figuring all that stuff out, you know, while I've been working on it.